Hi, and welcome to the Weather Gurus channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me. On this Saturday, August 22, this is the Tropical Storm Marco, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m., Eastern Time update. And Marco has strengthened here. Let's get the latest numbers on it. The winds are currently holding at 65 miles an hour, pressure down to 992 millibars, and the movement has increased to north-northwest at 10 knots or 12 miles per hour. If you remember last night, Tropical Storm Marco was struggling down in the northwestern Caribbean Sea, down by Honduras, but it has continued its northward march and has managed to evade, if you will, a major landfall into the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. And so because of which, it's going to kind of split the uprights between Yucatan Peninsula and the western tip of Cuba, barely touching land, and into the Gulf of Mexico later on tonight and tomorrow. So because of which, Tropical Storm Marco is forecast to become a hurricane later today, and it will indeed do so because the conditions are favorable in the Gulf of Mexico. We have warm sea surface temperatures out there, around 88 degrees, so that's not a problem, and we have low wind shear as of now for the system. Now, that's what it has working for it, as well as it's starting to get better organized. Some deep layer convection was found in the northeast quadrant, and a partial eye wall is starting to develop. So it is going to be a hurricane Marco very soon. But the issues that it's going to face is that there's still a deep level trough here in the Gulf of Mexico, and so the Hurricane Center is going to have to shift this cone further east than where it presently is. So that means areas, from Pensacola to New Orleans should be ready for the cone shift to the east and a minimal hurricane or a strong tropical storm to be coming to your region. Now, there's also some other deciding factors here too. If the system slows down later on Sunday afternoon, let's say the movement slows down north-northwest to 6 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour, then that means that more of the southwesterly shear that I was talking about, the wind shear that's going to be increasing on Sunday and Monday, that will take the system and weaken the system down to let's say a 70 mile an hour or 65 mile an hour tropical storm. Either way, it's not much difference between the 75 mile an hour hurricane and the 70 mile an hour tropical storm, semantically speaking, or wind damage speaking wise. But the good news is that, like I said, the system will be picked up by this trough. It will be moved very quickly. And so maximum rainfall amounts right now, estimates anywhere from Pensacola to New Orleans and a little bit west of New Orleans, should be maximum rainfall, should be contained or limited to about 5 to 7 inches of rainfall, maximum areas. And then as we go further north, some areas less than that. But in the short term, Marco will be strengthened to a hurricane, and quite possibly it is possible that it could get up to Category 2 strength, which is around 90, 95 miles an hour type of system, before weakening will take place. Because right now the intensity forecast is for us to get around, that's what we're forecasting too. Hurricane Center has it around 85 miles an hour at its peak, and that's still a Category 1 hurricane for all intents and purposes. Category 2 starts at 96 miles an hour. Or 96 miles an hour. So everybody should be prepared, but I definitely think the two biggest things that we should look out for with Tropical Storm Marco is an eastward shift of this track. And the next advisory from the Hurricane Center, there's an intermediate advisory coming out at 2 p.m. And then there's a full advisory coming out at 5 p.m. So the 5 p.m. advisory, that full advisory, that should show another track change to the east, another track shift to the east. And that's what I predict. And so that would actually put Houston in the clear, or in the better part, on the weaker side, the weaker western side of this storm, whereas the eastern side has most of the convection and most of the strong winds, as we know, and most of the storm surge, as we know. So Houston, I believe you're going to be in the clear. Beaumont, Galveston, all of that, Brownsville, you guys are going to be in the clear. Lake Charles, you might be in the clear as of 5 p.m. when the 5 p.m. advisory comes out later today. But they will start issuing tomorrow. They'll start issuing some tropical storm warnings and watches for these areas from Louisiana along the Mississippi and Alabama and Texas coast. But this track here, the main thing I want you to keep in mind is this track is going to shift east. That's what I predict, and I guarantee you it will. And that will leave Houston in the clear. That would leave Galveston Bay in the clear. That would leave Lake Charles, Louisiana in the clear. Now, who need to watch out for? Who's going to be on alert? I need you to be paying attention. New Orleans, Biloxi, Mobile, Pensacola, and even over to Apalachicola, Florida. This is where the new watch zone is going to be activated, and these are where the storm, in my opinion, will be more likely to make an impending landfall sometime on Tuesday morning, or it could be pushed back to Tuesday afternoon if the system slows down tomorrow as a result of interacting with this trough that's in the Gulf of Mexico. So keep a lookout for that. I'll be back with a later update later on today after 5 p.m. advisory comes out. Let me just give you the latest satellite imagery here for Marco here. Marco is now a strengthening tropical storm, and we do see the deepening convection on the southeast side and on the east side of the system and wrapping around the center finally now, unlike yesterday where we didn't have that rapiding, deepening convection. And it is just moving into, just coming up through the straits here, and it should be into the Gulf of Mexico sometime later today or tonight, and that's when it's forecast to be a hurricane. I anticipate to be a hurricane coming up very shortly here. So by the 5 p.m. advisory, do not be surprised to see now it's going to be Hurricane Marco with winds of 75 miles an hour, because it's going through an intensification process. And as the sun comes up and is already up and is warming up, it will rapidly intensify. And so it's going to be a hurricane coming up here by the 5 p.m. advisory. I think the 2 p.m. advisory, intermediate advisory, it may make it then, but I think the 5 p.m. advisory is going to be the one where they go ahead and give it the hurricane status, Hurricane Marco here. So thank you for joining me on this update. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you very soon.